Good morning, students. I hope so you all are doing well. So this is the revision session 2 from the subject Geography, chapter 1, Resources and Development, class 10. So in our previous lecture, we have started off with this revision session and we are going to continue that in this particular lecture as well from the subject Geography, chapter 1, Resources and Development, and we are going to cover today all the rest of the topics from this chapter. So let's get started. But before starting this lecture, I just want to share this positive quote with you so that we can start off this day with some positivity in our life. The thing is, you should always believe in yourself and all that you are. Know that there is something inside you that is greater than any obstacle. So basically, sometimes in life, we are in some situations that we stop believing in ourselves, that we can't do this, we can't do that, but never do that. Just believe in yourself, believe in your power, that whatever obstacle comes into my life, I have the power, I have the capacity to cross that particular obstacle, and I can do this. The thing that should be there in your mind always, that yes, I can do this, it's just that I need to believe in myself first. So this is the only thing that you should keep in your mind always, and you can cross any obstacle, any hurdle that is coming to your way with utmost positivity and dignity. So now we can start off the lecture. So the topics that we are going to cover will be conservation of resources, land resources, soil as a resource, classification of soil erosion and soil conservation, and after that a little homework that I am going to assign you, we'll discuss that. So the first topic we are going to discuss is resource conservation. So as you all know, resources are vital for any development activity that is there. So why we need to plan certain resource, why need to conserve these resources? Basically, if we are going to like for taking an example, हम एक example लेते हैं कि you have one cake and there are particularly 6 members in your family, and if you have eaten that entire cake and you haven't left for any other person, obviously they are going to screw you, or they are going to like be angry at you. So like that's what it is. If we are going to consume each and every resource, what the other persons that are going to come in future will have. So that's why we conserve these resources, we plant these resources in such a way that it should be stored apart for the future generation as well. So planned use of resources in order to meet the present need. So we are using these resources in order to meet the present needs and to store apart for the future generation as well is called resource conservation, and it is necessary because many resources are non-renewable and exhaustible. So basically there are so many resources that are there which we cannot renew, and if it is used once, it is gone. So the future generation is not going to see those particular resources. So it's better we should conserve them so that we can use them for a longer period of time. So these certain resources which are non-renewable, we should use them in such a way that we can use them for a longer period of time. Then conservation of resources helps us to reduce wastage. So this conservation of resource that is there, it basically helps us to reduce the wastage. So we have a proper plan, we are not wasting any particular resource, we are using each and every one, and it is very much beneficial for the economic progress. So if you are not wasting much of resources around you, you are utilizing each and every part of it in a very useful way, how much is required, and you are not wasting any of it. So that's how we can conserve these resources. Then resource conservation helps us to protect the environment. So how resource conservation helps us to protect the environment? So we are utilizing only those that particular amount of resources that are necessary for our current generation, and we are not developing a lot of things out of it. We are not taking a lot of things from the environment. We are just utilizing as much, and we are rebuilding the environment again by conserving these resources, so that we don't have to take more items from this environment. We are sticking to the resources that are currently available to us. Then the main thing about this that could come in your boards as well is Gandhiji's ideas on resource conservation. So what was Gandhiji's philosophy for resource conservation was, there is enough for everybody's need and not for everybody's greed. So he has said it very in a very right manner, that there is enough for everyone's need. If you have certain need to, like अभी आपको भूख लग रही है तो आपने एक चपाती खा ली, लेकिन if it's converted into greed, basically it's converted into greed that नहीं, अगर 3 चपाती बनी है तो 3 की 3 तो मैं ही खाऊंगा और किसी को मैं खाने नहीं दूंगा. That's a greed that you have कि मुझे ही सारी चीजें चाहिए, मैं किसी और को नहीं देना चाहता. So that particular idea that is there in someone's mind. So there is enough for everybody's need, that ki if 3 chapatis are there, I can eat one, and other person who is there, they can eat one, so that we can have a equal portion and we can maintain a balance. But there is not enough of anybody's greed, that yes, I want to take each and everything and I don't want to give it to the future generation. So that thing ought be changed if your mindset is like that. So greedy and selfish individuals are the exploitative nature of modern technology and are the root cause of resource depletion. So here the one who actually damage our environment, who are over exploiting our resources, who are only want to just grab all the resources around them, are the greedy and selfish individuals that are there in our society, and they are using these modern technologies because they must have the money to buy such things. So they are using each and every stuff, and they are the major root cause for this resource depletion. Then he was against mass production and wanted to replace it with production by masses. So in this particular line, he wants to say that he was against mass production. So you should not produce a lot of things. He was against this mass production, but he wanted to replace it with production by masses. So he wanted that जितना पॉपुलेशन है उसके अकॉर्डिंग, अगर हम उसके अकॉर्डिंग उनकी नीड्स के अकॉर्डिंग ही हम वो प्रोडक्शन करें, दैट्स द यूजफुल थिंग. So that could match up to the level, and we are not harming the environment, and it is going to be saving for the future generation as well. So that idea was quite useful, but we are not basically we haven't considered this particular idea. We are here for profit, and we just want to make money out of it. The next topic is land degradation. So basically in this particular topic, we are going to learn about why there is certain things that we do into an environment that changes the land fertility level, and soil erosion is increasing day by day. So what are the basic reasons? So large scale soil erosion caused by running water and wind. There are few of the reasons that have been mentioned here, and if you want to know anything about this in detail, you can study from the book as well. It has been mentioned there, but more often you should study these points that are enough for you. If it is coming in exam, you can just read this point and you can make your answer out of it. So basically large scale soil erosion caused by running water and wind. So this is one of the reasons. Then dumping of waste materials from mining centers and industrial units. So there is certain dumping of these waste material into these mining centers and industrial units. that is happening, then over irrigation leads to increase in salinity and alkalinity in the soil. Then over irrigation that we are doing currently because we want to make maximum profit out of it. Then overgrazing by animals and deforestation by men. So we are just cutting all the trees around us and we are not rebuilding them. We are just spoiling the environment and for the animals as well. Then wastewater from the industrial units pollute the land. So all the industries waste material are directly going to these river lands. So it is eventually polluting the land area as well. Then mineral processes like grinding of limestone for cement industry and calcite and soapstone for ceramic industry creates a lot of dust. This dust is deposited in the neighboring land. So as you have seen also, this mining process, like when someone is making their home, there are certain crunches are there, limestone are there, cement होता है. तो ऐसा तो नहीं है कि जब हम बना रहे होते हैं वो उधर का उधर ही रहता है. It is spreading also into the land area and उसका जो dust that is going, it is deposited in the neighborhood land. So it is being fixed here. So that's why when foreigners come to our land, then they see that our roads are not that much cleaned. It is dirty. It is basically dust is always there. But in foreign it is not there because we don't maintain certain things in our land. Then land conservation method. So how you can conserve the land area? What are the measures we could take? First of all, soil erosion can be prevented by ending deforestation, controlling grazing, encouraging afforestation and practicing terrace farming in hilly areas. So how you can conserve, what are the measurements? So first of all, soil erosion can be prevented if we end deforestation and convert that into afforestation. Controlling the grazing system, basically the digging system is always there because we need to build a lot of crops, but we can control that as well in a very positive manner. Then encouraging afforestation and practicing terrace farming in hilly areas, these are the things we can practice. Then preparation of shelter beds of plants and stabilizing of sand dunes for growing thorny bushes will help to prevent land degradation in deserts. So preparation for shelter beds. So you know shelter beds that there are certain levels that have been built for plants so that there is not a stagnation. There is certain steps that have been made for them so the water could pass it from each and every land area. And stabilizing of sand dunes for growing these thorny bushes will help to prevent land degradation in desert areas. Then mining activities should be controlled. New technology which reduce wastage can be adopted. Industrial waste should be chemically treated to remove the harmful substances. Urban waste should be used for the production of biogas and manure. Then over irrigation should be stopped and new method of irrigation should be followed. So these are few of the things. Like if a question occurs with this, that what can be the measurements and the conservation for land, you can take 3 to 4 points from it and you can elaborate in your language as well. So you don't have to use a similar language that it is written there. You can write it in your own language, but the content should be the same. So you don't have to focus on all the points, just focus on the simplest point that is written here so that you are able to learn it and understand it. Then soil as a resource. So now we are at the point that soil is the most important thing if you want to build anything, if you want to for the production, for the irrigation purpose, for mining, for each and everything. Soil is the most important resource ever. So the uppermost layer of the earth's crust, which is loose, broken and useful for plants, is called soil. You all know that what is soil. So soil consists of mineral matter such as sand and clay and organic matter such as humus, bacteria and earth moss. So basically जो भी हमारा प्रोडक्शन होता है, जो भी जहाँ पे भी हम क्रॉप बिल्ड करते हैं, फार्मिंग, ऑल द फार्मिंग सेक्टर्स, माइनिंग सेक्टर्स, वेयर दे आर पर्टिकुलरली डेवलपिंग ऑल दीज थिंग्स इन सॉइल ओनली. सो अगर सॉइल नहीं होता हमारी लाइफ में, अगर सॉइल में सारे मिनरल्स नहीं होते जो हैं, जी बैक्टीरियाज और ह्यूमस, ऑल द फर्टिलिटी लेवल दैट इज देयर इन दिस दैट पर्टिकुलर सॉइल, अगर ये सब नहीं होता तो हमारे पास अभी कुछ भी खाने पीने के लिए कुछ नहीं होता, प्रोडक्शन कुछ नहीं होता, नथिंग कुड बी हैपन. तो सॉइल इज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट रिसोर्स फॉर आवर ओन सर्वाइवल एज वेल. So soil is formed mainly due to the process of weathering. As a result of weathering, a layer of loose rock materials is formed on the large surface. If this layer remains undisturbed for a long period of time, chemical, physical and organic changes take place in it, and these changes lead to the formation of soil. So basically it's a kind of process of weathering. So in weathering, it's a kind of a layer that is building around that particular land surface, and in this layer, if that is building up, if we don't disturb it for a long period of time, so अगर हम उस चीज़ को डिस्टर्ब नहीं करेंगे तो उसमें जो चेंजेस आएंगे, इट इज़ beneficial for us only because all the chemical, physical and organic changes are taking place in it. It is the formation of soil in which we can rebuild, the fertility level is increasing and we can rebuild the things a lot more times than it can be possible. So you can build crops there, you can make your own fruits, माइनिंग्स, मिनरल्स निकालो, जो आयरन, each and every crop, each and every material you want to take out and फॉर्मेशन ऑफ बेसिकली सॉइल फर्टिलिटी का लेवल जितना हाई होगा ना, उतना ही आपको बेटर रिजल्ट निकलेगा हर एक क्रॉप में, हर एक माइनिंग एक्टिविटी, जो भी हमारे सॉइल से हमें चीज़ें मिलती हैं उन सब में. Then there are certainly types of soils. So basically there are 6 types of soil that you all know: alluvial soil, red soil, black soil, laterite soil, desert soil, mountain soil. So when in exam any type of the soil comes, so बहुत confusion हो जाता है that कि how we are going to write these answers. So basically if you take one soil at a time and learn 2 to 3 points of it. अगर आप सारे पॉइंट्स याद करने जाओगे तो देयर विल बी अ लॉट ऑफ कंफ्यूजन, क्योंकि दे आर क्वाइट डायरेक्ट थिंग्स, उसमें कुछ अंडरस्टैंड करने वाला नहीं है, दे आर ओनली फैक्ट्स. सो यू हैव टू लर्न दीज फैक्ट्स. सो बेटर यू शुड लर्न इन सच अ वे, बी अ स्मार्ट लर्नर, just learn 2 to 3 points from each of them and take the easiest one, because every point is going to count. So take the easiest point and learn that particular point. That would be easier for you to understand and learn them. So first we are taking alluvial soil. So there are a lot of points that are there in this particular soil. They are the particularly facts. I am not going to talk about any fantasies or imagination. It is all fact about that particular soil. So you have to learn it. You have to learn it. You have to understand what are they. So just try to pick up the easiest one possible and learn them. So we will discuss all the points, but alluvial soil is the most fertile and widespread soil found in India. So it's one of the most fertile and widespread soil in India. It is formed due to the deposition of fine silt called alluvial by the rivers. Basically it is formed due to this slight material that have been cultivated by the rivers. So rivers के जो side में जो एक kind of जो material आता रहता है, जो that silt, हम उसको एक fine silt बोलते हैं, वो साइड में जो आता रहता है, दैट इज रिबिल्डिंग फ्रॉम दीज रिवर्स. सो उसको हम एल्युवियल सॉइल में काउंट करते हैं. इट इज फॉर्म्ड इन दी नॉर्दर्न प्लेन्स मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम. जो भी रिवर्स के जो साइड में जो डेवलप होता रहता है आफ्टर एजेस. तो अभी तो कुछ बहुत ज़्यादा हो चुका है, लेकिन गुजरात प्लेन्स एंड कोस्टल प्लेन्स, यू हैव सीन इट इन द पिक्चर ऑल्सो. आई जस्ट टोल्ड यू कि जो ये थोड़ा जो ये मिट्टी होती है बेसिकली जिसमें आप प्रोडक्शन भी कर सकते हो, दिस इज द alluvial soil and it is found in the northern plains, Gujarat plains and the coastal plains. It consists of sand, silt and clay. So ये 3 types का हो सकता है. In these 3 types are sand, silt और clay material, and it is divided into khadar और या तो bangar. So basically these are the 2 types of this particularly alluvial soil as well. कि 2 type में भी मिलता है, एक है खदर, एक है बनगर. So basically जो खदर है that is the new alluvium and जो बनगर है that is the old alluvium. So it contains soil nutrients such as potash, phosphoric acid and lime. So it is fertile and good for the growth of crops such as sugarcane, rice, wheat and pulses. So basically in this particular soil you can grow these crops, and they are this particular soil is good for these crops only. Then what is the difference between khadar and bangar? So it kind of this particular question comes in both, somewhat it has come in one way or the other. So you can know about the difference. You can write these points in the answer. That Bhangar is the largest part of the northern plain and it is composed by the oldest alluvial soil. So it is composed by the oldest one, and in Khadar it is composed by the younger alluvium. So you just note out the main points. Just what are the main key words here. Then they lie above the food plains. They resemble terraces. The soil in this region is renewed every year and it is highly fertile. The soil of this region is locally known as Kankar and it is composed of calcareous deposits, and this region is very suitable for intensive agriculture activities. Now black soil. So in this picture you can see that how black soil looks like. So it is also known as regal soil. We also name black soil as regal soil because regal maintains cotton, and this particular soil is best for cotton cultivation, and most of the Deccan is occupied by black soil here. High water retaining capacity it has. Soil is sticky when wet and shrink when dried. Self-logging is a characteristic of the black soil as it develops white cracks when dried. Then it is rich in iron, lime, calcium, potassium, aluminium and magnesium, and it is deficient in nitrogen, phosphorus and organic matter. The color it has is deep black to light black. So it can vary from deep black to light black, and it is mainly found in the Deccan Trap region of Maharashtra, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. Next we have is red soil. So you can see in this picture how red soil looks like, and it is basically, you can see that it is kind of in a desert place. So it is seen mainly in low rainfall areas. So you can see this particular soil in mainly such areas where there is low rainfall, and it is forest tribal structure, absence of lime and kankar. So it basically रेत ही होती है, ये रेत kind of structure ही होता है इनका, and it is impure calcium carbonate, and it is deficient in lime, phosphate, manganese, nitrogen, humus and potash, and the color it has is red color due to the diffusion of iron in crystalline and metamorphic rocks, and the lower layer is reddish yellow or yellow. So you can find it in red color or mainly in reddish yellow or yellow. So the texture, the color is like that, and the texture is sandy to clay and gloomy. So if it could be a little sandy one or a little clayey type, so the texture is like that, then it is good for growing of wheat, cotton, pulses, tobacco, oilseeds, potato, etc. You can cultivate these particular crops in it, and it is found in Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand. Now laterite soil. So laterite soil you can see here, जो कंकड़ बने पड़े हैं कुछ kind of, तो you might have seen this particular soil as well. So the name that it is driven from, it is the name from Latin word latter, Latin word later, and which means break, and it becomes so soft when wet and so hard when dried. So it has a texture that it can be soft when it is wet and it is hard when it is dried. So it is found in the areas of high temperature and high rainfall, and it is formed as a result of high leaching due to rainfall. And organic matters of the soil will be removed fast by the bacteria, as it is highly temperature, and humus will be taken quickly by the trees and the other plants because humus content is low. So the organic matter of the soil is removed fast by the bacteria because of the high temperature and humus it has, but it will be taken quickly by the trees and the other plants. Thus humus content is very low, and if humus content is low, you can't rebuild them again. Few of the crops that are there, you can't build or in that particular land area. And it is rich in iron and aluminum, deficient in nitrogen, potassium, lime. Humus color is red color due to the iron oxide, and you can grow rice, ragi, sugar cane and cashew nuts are cultivated mainly in this particular soil. It is good for the cultivation of tea, coffee and cashew nuts as well. So basically it is good for cultivation of tea, coffee or cashew nuts, and it is found in Kerala, mostly Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha and Assam. Then we have arid soil. So in arid soil you can see that it is quite dry, and so it seems like this arid and semi-arid condition. So there is not, particularly if you see in this image, like this also, जो कि drought areas होते हैं वैसा वहाँ पे भी होता है, तो particularly proper arid zones होते हैं. This could be the semi-arid zone जहाँ पे आप कुछ crops rebuild कर भी सकते हो. So it seems under arid and semi-arid conditions, deposit mainly by wind activities. So it is deposited mainly by wind activities. High salt content it has. It has highly salt content and lack of moisture and humus. So it doesn't have moisture in this particular soil. It doesn't have moisture and humus in it. It is basically of conquered or impure. Calcium carbonate content is high, which restricts the infiltration of water, and the texture is mainly sandy here. Color you can see is red to brown, and it's mostly found in the western Rajasthan, where there is Thar desert. So only the desert kind of areas where there is no condition to build mostly any kind of crops there. It is just very जिसको हम कहते हैं बंजर जमीन जिसको हम कहते हैं, वो इसी सॉइल के एरिया में आती है. Then forest soil. So in forest soils, they are formed in the forest areas where sufficient rainfall is available. The soils vary in structure and texture depending on the mountain environment where they are formed. They are loomy and silty on valley sides and cross-grained in the upper slopes. In the snow-bonded areas of the Himalayas, they experience renudation and are acidic with the low humus content. The soils found in the lower valleys are very much fertile. So in that particular land areas, you can grow many of the crops. Now we are coming to the last topic, that is soil erosion. So basically, removal of the topsoil from one place to another by natural agencies is called soil erosion. So when we are taking off the top layer of the soil and from one place to the other by the natural agencies that are there, that is soil erosion. It is caused by running water and wind. So it can cause by running water की पानी के थ्रू वो एरिया क्लियर हो रहा है, या wind के थ्रू वो soil को लेके जा रहा है. So it can be caused by that. And deforestation, overgrazing and unscientific agriculture practices are also responsible for such large scale soil erosion. So mainly पहले तो natural ways होते थे, but अब human agencies are also responsible for that, because we are doing deforestation, overgrazing and scientific agriculture practices that we are doing on this large scale. It is responsible for this large scale soil erosion. Then there are two types, gully erosion and sheet erosion. So in gully erosion, basically that is the natural way, and the sheet erosion is from these particular human interactions. Then soil conservation measurements. So basically there are 3 to 4 soil conservation measurements as well. So the first one is contour plogging. So you can see it in the image how this contour plogging has been done. So plogging along the contour lines can demonstrate the flow of water down the slope. So to maintain the flow of the water, these slopes have been developed so that in each and every part of the land the water has been covered. So they maintain certain slopes so that water could flow from these lines only to the part of the area you want to have. Then there is terrace farming. So terrace farming is one of the most famous one, and it is used in many parts in our country. So steps can be cut out on the slopes making terrace, and terrace cultivation restricts the soil erosion. So if there will be certain steps that have been maintained, तो वो जो विंड पावर है वो कंट्रोल कर लेता है, वो बाकी पूरे एरिया में नहीं जा पाता है, जिसकी वजह से it restricts the soil erosion here. So you can see in this image how this terrace farming have been done. So the steps that have been maintained, the flow of the wind that comes, it restricts that, and it restricts the soil erosion as well. Then strip cropping. So strip cropping is mainly famous in the farm areas. So large fields are divided into these strips, and strips of grass are left to grow between the crops. This breaks up the form of the wind, and this method is called strip cropping. So this is how you can see in this image strip cropping is done, and it is mainly done in the farm areas to grow basically crops in different parts of the section. So we are done with this particular chapter. If you still have queries, you can ask me, and just let me know what are the topics that you want to cover in the revision session future in the coming lectures, so that I can add them in my revision session. And the homework for today is that please read and learn the topics that are covered in this particular lecture. Read the topics again from the book or from the notes that I have written here. Read them again and learn them, and write the short note on the following topics in your own language. Don't see anywhere else. Just read, first of all read and learn it, and then close the book and write these topics on your own. So better, it is going to be a kind of a test for your own. So the topics are land degradation, red soil, arid soil, terrace farming. So these are these are the 4 topics you have to write short note on. So do it, and do it on your own. First of all learn it and then do it. So it is kind of a practice only for you, and it is going to last forever in your mind if you do it very sincerely. So this is whole as a lecture. Still you have queries, anything you want to share apart from these your studies as well, I am here to listen, and I am here to motivate you or solve your problems. So basically the teachers are not there only to give you about the subject details or subject studies. We are here to help you out in your life as well, because main thing is you have to maintain so your mental illness is one of the best thing that I have just told you. So that's why I started off this lecture with some positive quote, and I hope so that in future too that we should continue that. I wish that each and everyone should be focusing on themselves and believe in themselves, and that they can achieve anything in their life. There is nothing at all that you can't achieve. You have the power, you have the capacity to do anything in life, and I'm really very grateful that I'm here to teach you, and I'm here to share this thing with you. So that's it for this particular lecture. Is very going long. So that's it. Thank you so much, and just take care of yourself.